everyone! Welcome. My name is Maddie Hendricks. I am a classically trained coloratura soprano, and today I wanted to share a wonderful update with all of you. I wanted to share my experience so far with the amazing new choir that I joined. I'm so happy to have gotten this experience and have had the chance to audition for this ensemble. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience so far. So I have been hired as a staff singer at a wonderful Episcopal church in my home base of Atlanta. And it's just been the most amazing thing. And the best part is that it's one of those things that doesn't feel like work. It is just incredible. It brings me so much joy every week. And I just wanted to share a little bit about it with you guys. So I will say that I would love to continue to talk about this experience in on this channel, and my choral experience on this channel, as well as my solo experience. But this is probably the first and last time I'll mention myself being a staff singer. I will say that this choir is really just a big family of singers and people, and it's just incredible how there's no separation between the staff singers and the volunteer singers, and it just also makes me slightly uncomfortable to talk about it in that way. But for this video, I wanted to share about this from a professional perspective, and just reflect on the audition process, and maybe introduce people that don't know about the high church and what classical music can be in the church, and what professional church musicians do. I thought I'd do that in this video, as well as talk about advocacy for my fellow blind musicians. You guys all know, if you know the channel by now, that I am a blind soprano, but that does not stop me from auditioning. The blind part doesn't stop me from auditioning for things, and didn't stop me from going to undergrad and getting a master's degree and an artist diploma, and I don't want it to hinder my experience in the professional world either. So I'm very open about talking about my blindness, and this is, I think, the first video where I'm really going to dive into that, specifically as a blind singer. What was my audition experience like? So I hope that, I'll talk about advocacy, and it might reach some fellow blind musician out there wanting to get to that more advanced level in their music career, and wanting to know, how to get there, and what to do, and how to be an advocate for yourself, and not wanting to be in the background, but being a leader. So what is that like? So I hope to talk about that. So I did want to say what is, maybe define a staff singer. So a staff singer is a highly trained musician hired to be a leader within a section of the choir. So I'm one of the soprano ones in the choir, and first sopranos, and it's amazing. It's amazing music, but it's very difficult music. In my church experience in the past, I did a lot of volunteer stuff, and I did a lot of work in the Baptist and Methodist church, and I wouldn't say the music was quite as difficult as this. This is very challenging music. A big component of these jobs is sight reading. Being able to read. What is sight reading? It's being able to read music you've never heard before sometimes. Some of our music has recordings, some of it does not. Like the Misa Brevis that we're working on right now. And I did want to just have a quick note about sight reading. Sight reading, the term sounds like a very visual task, And it used to be that way for me. Back in high school, I would think, oh my gosh, I can't read music. So I had my fellow sighted colleagues, I followed them, I remember. And that was, a wonderful thing, but it also, I was not the most independent musician back then, I would say. But then I learned Braille music. There is a Braille music code that can be learned, and it can be a process. Let me say, it's not like your normal Braille code where you've got literary Braille, you've got numbers. This is the music code, and so it's a completely different code in itself, and you have to really learn it and study it. But once it's learned, it's pretty seamless, and a blind musician can participate just alongside their sighted colleagues, and there are ways to get music transcribed into Braille. So that the music can be read along. The blind person can read music along with their sighted musicians. But again, with sight reading in this ensemble, it's pretty intense. How much music we're given in a short, and have to learn in a short amount of time, as in, say, we rehearse a piece a week in advance of the Sunday service that we're singing it in. So we only have, as a choir, 2 rehearsals. These singers have to really prepare well. And so I try to look ahead and, learn my music ahead of time. So that's really important, because I want to be prepared. So I feel like that is also one of the biggest expectations of this ensemble, is that it's preparation. So I'm very diligent and a very passionate classical singer. So so I love to really prepare well, and that was just a little introduction. And so I did want to share just a little bit about the audition experience. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was nervous going into the audition. I sometimes feel, I'm going to say this really honestly, and I don't mean to sadden anyone, but I sometimes feel, and other blind people that are disabled people that are differently abled people that are listening to this, maybe you feel the same way. But sometimes, I feel like even though I have all of the qualifications as my sighted colleagues do, bachelor's, master's, I've got so much experience, which is a blessing. But at the same time, it's still, sometimes things still don't work out. And I understand that this industry, the classical music industry, the opera industry, the getting into a church, a choral position, choral ensemble, it's competitive. It's very competitive. And so I know it kind of goes for everyone, that things don't work out sometimes. But when people don't have experience working with someone who is differently abled, and blind in my case, they have a lot of questions, and sometimes they're afraid to ask the questions about how to be inclusive. But I just want to give a shout out and say, don't be. Don't be. It's totally normal to have questions, and I am happy to answer them, and talk about options and explore options. So anyway, so I was nervous. So let me just share about my experience going into this. So I saw the post, I saw the audition listing, I sent in recordings, and for this opportunity, I did disclose my disability in my email to them, because I thought it was important that they know, so that, for example, if there was, there ended up being a sight reading example, that I could get it into Braille ahead of time. There may be times and places where you don't disclose your disability, and that's cool too. So they got back to me, my recordings were good, and they moved me to an in-person audition. At the audition, which was at the church, I talked about my choral experience, my high school, how high school led to my love of classical choral music, and how I went on to study, and sing in choirs in undergrad and study voice and learn about my vocal technique. And I went to London and Paris and sang for Stephen Clairberry, which I still can't believe that happened. Amazing King's College, former choir master at King's College. and a blessing for sure. And when I sang at Notre Dame as well. So many amazing memories, and then being at Georgia State and singing with the GSU singers and at ACDA, and it was great. So me and my director, we kind of like nerded out, and it was great. And so we talked about my choral experience. I sang some Bach. I sang the Quia Respexit. Yeah, that's a nice sacred piece to sing for a lot of sopranos for choral auditions and ensembles and oratorio work. I love it. And then we talked about my voice and my experience being a soprano 1. And then I sight read the Ave Verum Corpus. This is not the Mozart, like many choral friends are probably familiar with, but it's the William Byrd Renaissance composer, William Byrd arrangement. And I looked at it for about 5 minutes before. He allowed me some time to look at it. But he told me to not over-prepare, so I didn't over-prepare. I found that this specific part of the audition very intimidating, having to look at a piece, or feel a piece with my Braille sense, and sing it on the spot without really having heard it at all. And so I in the audition, since I was familiar with the text, the Ave Verum Corpus text, Latin, I put the music onto text right away since I was familiar with it. In school, and in a school setting, I used to use solfege or numbers, but in this professional setting, for me personally too, I usually like to put it sight read on either a neutral syllable, like a neutral vowel, or count sing, because rhythm is challenging. Count singing is like where you're actually counting the beats of the measure. Helps me stay in time and figure out where I'm moving when 1 and 2 and T and 4 and 1 and 2 and T and like that. So 1 and 2 and T and 4. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, it went very well. I was paired with an alto for that. I got to sing it by myself once, and then I got to sing it with an alto, one of the other singers in the choir. So it was really, really fun and challenging. So great. So then my director and I just talked. We sat and talked for a few minutes, and he asked all the questions about my blindness. I was worried that my blindness would be a worry, or be a something different, and I guess it was a different thing that they had to navigate. But the question was, would it be impossible to navigate? No, I don't think so. So one thing that we talked about was reading music. How do I read music? How do I write in markings in my scores? So I'll go through this really quick for anyone that's interested. So I'm sent a PDF of the music in advance. I get the soprano 1 part written out into Finale or Sibelius or MuseScore, something like that, a music notation software, by my Braille music transcriber. This could be anybody that knows, a sighted musician that knows like Finale or MuseScore, that can read print music, that can transcribe it into Braille, that can put your part into Finale, whatever part you sing, or play, I guess, in a band if you're an instrumentalist. This is then saved in an XML file format for me, a music XML, and emailed to me. And then I've got a program called Dancing Dots. It's a program that converts print music into Braille instantly. And I download it to my Braille Sense, and I can make markings and follow along from there, and yeah, this is basically, I'll show it, hopefully the camera can see. I can make markings on, basically it's like a tablet. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a blessing. $6,000 machine, but yeah, it really does wonders for inclusivity. So I did used to emboss scores, which means put them into hard copy braille, but working digitally has been easier for me, simply because I can edit and make markings seamlessly right in rehearsals. And when you emboss a braille score onto a hard copy piece of paper, that's not always, or that's actually not pretty much at all possible. Once it's brailled, it's brailled. So it's easiest if you're going to make edits, to do it digitally. Or I guess you could do it on another sheet of paper, but oh well. Okay. So the other music-related discussion that we had for choir was this idea of spontaneity, that, a performance is a performance. We don't want to perform a piece the same way. If we're going to sing it 3 times, we want to do it differently every time and have it be an authentic, organic performance, and have slow down when we need to slow down. But, the advantage of being a sighted musician is the sighted musicians can see when the conductor does that. But I can't. So, what we talked about was, how would I follow him? And so I said, my ears are my greatest asset. But here's some things that you can do. If you can give me verbal cues, like sopranos, we're going to slow down at, measure 5 into 6. We're going to slow down over this phrase. So be paying attention and really listening across the choir so you can hear that. And, him trust, and then, I'm going to write everything in. So I was like, I promise I'll write everything in. I'll write in fermatas, I'll write in retards. And it takes me a few weeks to get used to a new conductor, but really, I know this sounds like kind of, maybe not very professional, but it comes eventually very intuitive to me. And I know it's, that maybe it's that trusting relationship that really needs to be built. But once I'm familiar with the conductor, it's really seamless. On a non-music related note, also getting familiar with my environment was really important. And knowing for me in a church setting when I wanted to use a guide and when I wanted to use my white cane, that was really important. So in crowds, I often just put my cane in my bag, fold it up, and use a guide. But when I'm, just walking around, like, in a more open space, I often use my cane. This is a little bit different for opera. I don't always have my cane on stage with me in opera. So the other thing, back to the church idea. So we walked around the sanctuary a little bit. I wrote down some routes. I wrote down some, how many stairs there were up to the stage, so I could kind of memorize it. And then before I knew it, he was asking me if I wanted to join, and I almost cried on the spot. You guys can probably see the joy on my face, because it was so, oh gosh, it was just amazing to think back. And just after that, the amazing adventure began. It's been 3 incredible weeks since this happened at the time of this recording, March 19th, 2025. And I get all giddy talking about this. And it's just been the most amazing, warm and welcoming choir family experience. Y'all, I'm not kidding. I've learned probably over 40 new pieces over the past 3 weeks. Most of them have been hymns, rather unfamiliar hymns since I've come from the Baptist and Methodist, tradition. I've had to get used to some chant as well, with the Episcopal tradition. But many of them too have been also some more complicated, magnificent anthems, and some of them have not had recordings to go along with them. So I've gotten them in Braille and have been able to read along fine and prepare a lot ahead of time so that I'm well prepared for rehearsal. So I can't wait to share more fun stories as I continue to sing in this group, and you all know specifically that vocal technique is my favorite topic when it comes to singing. So for example, we had an amazing, fantastically insightful discussion on lip trills, the lip trill vocal warm-up this a couple weeks ago in a sectional rehearsal, and that was really fun. And then this past Sunday we got to sing in an amazing cathedral in downtown Atlanta, and it was stunning. It gave me chills. So yeah, I just wanted to share that experience, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and feel free to reach out. And I appreciate your support so much, and yeah, I'd love to continue sharing my experience in this ensemble, because choral music as well as solo music, opera, oratorio, soloistic repertoire, art song recital stuff, it's all so special to me, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. And so yeah, I just wanted to share this wonderful experience with you guys, and feel free to reach out with any questions and any comments, and yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day or night, wherever you're watching in the world, and I'll see you next time.